All right, so it looks like we got 11 a.m. Pacific Central Time, so we're going to get started. Good morning, everyone, and on behalf of OSI, I thank you for joining us to learn about the Lightning experience that's been available on the Salesforce platform for about the past 2 years. This webcast is part of OSI's ongoing Salesforce educational series and is part 2 of our Lightning experience deeper dive into the improvements that have come out since its initial release. Now, my name is Doug Tuff. I'm a solutions manager with OSI in the Pacific Northwest, and I'll be hosting our webcast today with Rachel Bush, our subject matter expert and one of our Salesforce architects. Rachel has over 5 years of experience implementing Salesforce solutions for customers in a variety of industries. She is a certified Salesforce administrator, developer, sales, and Service Cloud consultant. So before jumping into our content today, I'm going to briefly touch base on what was covered in part 1 as a quick catch-up. This is just one slide, and then we're going to jump into our the bulk of our material today. So part 1, we initially covered what is the Lightning experience, and we also provided a comparison between Lightning and Classic. So we covered the benefits of Lightning and discussed considerations when migrating users to Lightning and how to figure out if it is right for your organization, how to evaluate that. If you're interested in reviewing part 1 and getting caught up to speed, you can find it on OSI's YouTube page where we post all of our webinar recordings. So once again, feel free to go to YouTube, look up OSI, and you'll find part 1. Okay, so let's cover our agenda and a couple housekeeping items. Today's going to be a little bit of an interactive discussion. I'll be occasionally asking Rachel a few questions during her portion of the presentation, and we'll be going over some of the following topics that Rachel's going to dive into, which are going to include the evolution of Lightning and the experience features that we've seen come out, the Spring 17 release feature enhancement highlights, the Lightning experience for sales, as well as the Lightning experience reports and dashboards, which she's going to touch on, I believe, in a demo. And she's also going to be going over the experience customizations as well as the console applications. Now, if you have any questions, please type them into our chat on the bottom right-hand side, and we'll be answering those questions at the end of the webinar. So now I'm going to pass our webinar over to Rachel, and she'll take us on into the good stuff. All right, Rachel, you there?
Great. Thanks, Doug, for the intro, and good morning or good afternoon to all of you on the call. Let's just dive right in and talk about what's new with Salesforce and the Lightning experience. As of Spring 17, Salesforce has removed the beta classification for person account support, and they are also now supported for professional edition users. The Salesforce Service Console Lightning Experience Beta is now available in Professional, Enterprise, Performance, Unlimited, and Developer editions with either the Sales Cloud or Service Cloud license. In the Winter 17 release, Salesforce delivered an improved navigation model in the Lightning experience. One of the primary drivers of this update was to bring the feature of the app switching into Lightning. Your users are now able to navigate more efficiently and also easily switch between apps. And if your users know Salesforce Classic, the updated navigation model should feel very similar, as it's got the navigation tabs now located along the top instead of the sides. Okay. Team selling is now supported in the Lightning experience. So if your organization uses account and opportunity teams, this is now available to you to set up in Lightning. URL custom button and link support in Lightning experience, as well as Salesforce One, are now supported. This feature was previously available in Salesforce Classic only. But one thing to note here, if you use URL custom buttons to pass parameters to standard pages in Salesforce Classic, such as pre-populating fields when creating a record, this behavior does not work in Salesforce One or Lightning experience. So sorry, admins, if you use button hats within your Salesforce organization, this part still is not going to work for you within Lightning.
So Rachel, with this evolution, something you're saying here is that 6 months ago, an organization, it may not have been feasible to transition, whereas now it might make sense.
Well, Doug, I think the key word there that you're using is might. It definitely depends on your organization and what you use Salesforce for on a daily basis. Again, person accounts, 6 months ago wouldn't have been supported, but if you use that data model in your organization, now it may be feasible to move forward. Again, you're going to want to take a microscope to your organization and see if it makes sense. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the general enhancements that have come down the pipe with Spring 17. In March, Salesforce enhanced the Lightning Experience Readiness Check, giving you even more insight into where you stand with Lightning Experience. So again, if you are ready to evaluate whether or not Lightning Experience is right for you, Salesforce has that tool available to you. You log into your Salesforce org, you request the Lightning Experience Readiness Check, and within minutes you'll just receive a report right in your email. And it's pretty detailed as far as specific customizations that you have done in your org and whether or not they'll be supported. Now you can create shortcuts to your top pages with favorites. I really, really like this feature, and the reason I like this is that I got used to looking for the recent items in my sidebar in Classic, and while it's not the same, it still gives me a way to quickly find what I'm looking for. And what's really interesting is that the favorites feature is not specific just to a record that you access, right? You can certainly favorite maybe one of your key accounts that you work with on a daily basis, but you can also favorite an entire list view. So as a sales rep, if you come in every day and you want to monitor your open opportunities, you can just favorite that entire list, and it's going to be available to you very quickly. So I really, really like that feature. There's a biggie, and I'm going to talk about this one a little bit later as well. Console apps are now available in Lightning Experience. It is a beta release. Console apps for users let them work with multiple records on one screen, easily access utilities and critical record details that they need, and again, now available in Lightning Experience. These apps are available only to Sales Cloud as well as Service Cloud users, and so you just want to be conscious that in order to prevent unexpected issues, you don't need to give other users outside of your sales or service users access to those console apps. And here's a new one. This isn't something that is available in Salesforce Classic at all. There's something called a utility bar. The utility bar gives your users quick access to common productivity tools like notes and recent items, and it appears as a fixed footer that users can access to open utilities in docked panels. And I think one more thing I wanted to touch on this, and this is kind of similar to the Lightning Experience Readiness Check. We've got a new feature called the Optimizer available to you in Salesforce, and this is just a tool to help you improve your Salesforce implementation. This tool lets you run an automated programmatic analysis of your sandbox or production environments, and then again, they'll send you a report that provides recommendations how you can improve Salesforce for your company, and that became available in January. And so if you haven't checked that feature out, that's something I would recommend doing. Again, regardless even whether or not you're a Lightning Salesforce organization or not, it's going to help you whether or not you're working in Classic or Lightning. So check that feature out. Let's talk about some of the specific core sales features that are new within Lightning. First one, this one has been requested for quite some time. Account hierarchy is now available to those Lightning Experience users. So if you like to have that visual representation of how your accounts are related, you can now add that component within Salesforce. And also, there's expanded person account support for account hierarchy, and that is a brand new concept here. That's not something that had previously been available in Classic either, so I think that's really great. A couple of other little things here. Campaign hierarchy is now available also within Lightning. And then campaign members mass actions. So if you need to quickly update campaign member status, for all of your campaign members for a campaign, you can do that much more easily now with mass actions that are available to you there. And you can, let's see what else. You can manage the campaign member statuses both in Lightning Experience as well as Salesforce One now. So you can also do that with a mobile application, whereas previously that was limited to the desktop experience. Collaborative forecasts are also now available in Lightning, as well as opportunity products. So sales reps can save time by adding up to 50 products to opportunities all at once. So again, they can add up to 50, but you can edit up to 200 simultaneously. This is kind of a big deal in having the opportunity products available, especially for those sales organizations, because that was a major deterrent to being able to migrate over to the Lightning experience previously, is that would be considered a core sales feature that was really needed. Let's see. Oh, and then also duplicate management. You can now detect and merge duplicate accounts and contacts in Lightning experience. They've also given us some new rules to detect and prevent duplicates of person account records. So again, enhanced person account record support here with Spring 17. All right, a couple of little notes on productivity features. I did mention this earlier, but a Sales Console or a Lightning Sales Console app is now available. So that's a Sales Console or Service Console. You can now edit list views, inline editing for your list views. Reps can get more done with fewer clicks just from working with their list views. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit of a demonstration later in the webinar. Let's see. There's a new send email action. Salesforce has replaced the email composer with a customizable send email action to make it easy for users to follow business processes. I really like this as somebody that works with multiple organizations and customizes, you know, their global actions and the things that they use from day to day. That's been a serious limitation, not being able to customize that email action. So that's a really great new feature with Spring 17. Then also this one, you know, should have been a gimme, I think, really early on, but tasks, you can now follow up on tasks and recurring tasks within Salesforce Lightning. With just 2 clicks, you can create that follow-up task, as well as set up recurring tasks, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. And then here's another one, and this is similar to the campaign member mass update, but you can now perform mass actions to related lists. And this has been a missing feature for some time. For many of us working in Salesforce Classic, we have installed at some point an app exchange package that helps us act on multiple records at once from a list view, whether that's from edit, delete, or even update. Now this has come to Lightning, which is really, really great. So Spring 17, I just want to touch real quickly on service-related features. Again, the Salesforce Console is now part of Lightning Experience, and there's a Lightning Service Console beta release. Salesforce is giving us an out-of-the-box Service Console app, a streamlined setup flow just for service-related features, as well as some other bells and whistles. And again, previously the console is available only within Salesforce Classic. OpenCTI is now available in Lightning Console, so you can now use OpenCTI in the Lightning Console experience, and desktop CTI is no longer available. Lightning Knowledge Beta. Knowledge has taken the leap to the Lightning experience, giving you a high-powered yet streamlined way to manage your knowledge base. And again, let's see, Lightning Knowledge is best for orgs new to knowledge or for existing orgs that can easily consolidate to one article type. So here's kind of the key here is that this knowledge beta is really for those organizations that have a smaller scale deployment of knowledge, because you're going to be limited to that one article type as well as single language. So if you use multiple languages, right now Lightning Knowledge is not going to work for you. So Lightning Case Management is now available. Spring 17 provided a revamped compact case feed, so agents can quickly see the case as it progresses through the life cycle. And the case assignment checkbox is also now visible on the case page layout, so agents can trigger assignment rules when creating and editing cases. That was not previously available to us within Lightning. And then one other little thing I wanted to mention that was just too good to kind of leave out is that there's now the field service app for iOS users is now available. So if you leverage field service in your organization, which is also a newer feature, Salesforce has given us that field service app. You know, it's already available to us from the App Exchange, and it doesn't require a lot of customization from Salesforce org and administration standpoint in order to stand that up and use it for your technicians and field service reps. Okay. One moment here. No questions? Okay, we're good. Okay, so let's jump into just a little bit of a demonstration on the sales side here. Let me get into that screen. Okay. So one thing I wanted to show is how sales reps can easily make edits to opportunities in his or her pipeline on the fly. You can see I actually did get a pop-up right away. Salesforce is telling me the favorites are now available to us within Salesforce, which we talked about earlier. And if you wanted to see a walkthrough of that, you could. I'm just going to dismiss that message for now. Now, where I am currently, I've accessed my Opportunities tab, and I'm looking at all of the opportunities currently in my organization. This is a pretty standard list view, similar to what you would see in the classic setup, but we also have something new to us that was not previously available. I've got an entirely new view that allows me to work with my opportunity records in a really dynamic fashion. What you're seeing along the top are my different stages that have been defined within my opportunity sales process. Underneath each of these stages, you can see where each opportunity record falls. And at the top of those, at the top of the column, you can see the dollar amount, the aggregation of all the amounts of those opportunities within that current stage. Now, if you're a sales rep coming in on a Monday morning before your weekly sales call and you need to get your information updated pretty quickly, Salesforce has made it much easier for you to do that just by simply dragging and dropping one record into the next column. And you can see not only did it move it, update the stage, but real quickly at the top you saw the dollar amounts adjust right there, which is just really dynamic, I think. So again, it's just as simple as a drag and drop over. But if you find that you need to edit additional information, maybe if you just have a couple of quick edits here and there, you want to update a close date as a for instance, you can look for this little caret and you can select edit and you can make any changes that you would like to this specific opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and push my close date out because this opportunity is going to take a little more time than expected. And you can see my green message at the top confirming that the change I made was performed and saved. So again, this is the new path. It was previously called Sales, well, this is a combination between Sales Path as well as the Kanban view. What's really great is, you know, the first iteration of this was limited to opportunities, then it was provided to us in leads, but now you get Path available to you even in custom objects if you like. So you can tailor this sort of experience to other objects in Salesforce as well.
Now, Rachel, you're saying that this has evolved since they originally released it?
Oh, yeah, it certainly has. Like I said, originally this is available just for, they called it Sales Path, right? So it was specific to sales users. But, you know, now, especially now that we're working through Service Cloud being available, what you could potentially see is instead of the dollar amount of all of your opportunities, you could see instead all of the cases if you wanted, if that was valuable to you, you know, within each of the case status. That would be one option you could do. Again, that would depend on the amount of volume you manage, and that may not be feasible, but certainly could look at this to accomplish that. it's pretty easy to switch back to your grid view. One thing you would potentially want to do that for, I mentioned earlier that we now can edit inline lists on the fly, and so let's say instead of just making a couple of quick edits, like if you have more than one opportunity that you need to update close dates for, instead let's switch over to our list view, and you can see that this pencil is becoming available to me right next to the close date. And so I'm going to identify some of these opportunities in my demo environment where the date, doesn't make a ton of sense, and just bring them up to speed here. But again, this would be the same as if you're pushing out your date, right, as a sales user, and you want to update multiple ones on the fly. One thing I'm going to recommend, as I realized this in preparation for this demo, maybe as you begin, try and isolate the changes that you make to just one column down the line before you hit save. I had made multiple changes, both the close date and stage, and when I hit save before, Salesforce had a little bit of an issue with that. I did receive a warning, and I did lose some of my changes. So be a little bit cautious with this new functionality. Again, I recommend isolating those changes either at the row level, to the record, or down close date or stage, and hit save often. All right. Doug, any other questions there? Good. Okay, so that's just a quick look at some of the efficiencies that are gained if you're a sales user within Lightning. Let me flip back over to our presentation view here. And there we go. Okay. So I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about what's new with reports and dashboards within Lightning Experience. So with Spring 17, Lightning Experience has gotten even better with report subscriptions, better chatter integration for dashboards, new funnel and scatter charts, and other enhancements. We'll talk about a couple of the specifics. You can now subscribe to reports in Lightning Experience. That report you check, maybe it's a sales report that you check every Monday morning at the office. You can now schedule it to run and be delivered to your inbox at 8 a.m. And you can subscribe to up to 5 reports and receive refreshed report results by email on any schedule that you set, any schedule meaning daily, weekly, or monthly. And report subscriptions became available, within about 7 days of the Spring 17 release. So that should be all set for you to use now. Okay, so you can now filter reports using URL parameters in Lightning Experience. You can pass URL parameters to set filter values in the Lightning Experience report. So when linking to reports or when bookmarking a report, add filter value parameters to the URL to customize how the report filters when it is opened. For example, bookmark your opportunities report and add a filter value parameter to specify when you see new business or existing business. You can now view dashboards as other people in Lightning Experience. So say that your sales reps can only view their own opportunities, but you'd like to review all opportunities closed in the last quarter. You can create a dashboard and let people view the dashboard as you or anybody else can see all opportunities do within your organization. When your salespeople open the dashboard, they see info about all opportunities instead of only their opportunities. You can, you can now expand dashboard components. You can open a dashboard component in a window so you can see all the details, and I'm going to demonstrate this piece for you actually in just a moment. You can also follow dashboards in Lightning Experience. This is pretty standard, something that's been available to us within the Classic. Go ahead and again favorite that dashboard so that you can follow it and receive those updates from the dashboard chatter feed. Just as you do for any of your other records within Salesforce. And you can also add funnel and scatter charts to Lightning Experience dashboards. They are now available to you in the dashboard component editor. These components are actually new to just the Lightning experience only. So those were previously available to us within the Classic experience, but were lacking from Lightning. So those are now available to you. So let's take a look at how Salesforce can help you make better decisions using reports and dashboards in the Lightning experience. Let me toggle back over here. Okay, so you access reports and dashboards just as if you were looking for any other object along the top. I have both my dashboards and my reports tab available to me, but if you didn't see them there, you would just select more and then it's going to display what you have access to. For now, I'll go ahead and click over to dashboards. From the reports and dashboards homepage, it's easy to find, open, and create new dashboards. Let's say you're the director of sales at your company and you want to see how your team is doing. Let's go ahead and open up the sales executive dashboard. Okay, there we go. Now, what I really, really like about the new dashboards in Lightning is it's really easy to make edits as well as to move these components on the fly and even change the component types, which ultimately dictate how the data will display to you as an end user. Let's take a look at how we can make some of those changes. I just selected edit, and I'd like to see my pipeline growth number here along the left. So I'm just going to drag and drop it over to the left. Again, drag and drop being the key. It's just that easy. And something that is definitely not available to us in Classic currently is how we can easily change the size of these components. And let me go ahead and hit save before I lose that change. Now, one thing to note is I hit save, but I'm not actually done with my edit mode. That's one little thing that, you know, I found would trip me up originally is that I am still in edit mode. So I'm not going to go in and work with these components and analyze my data yet until I hit done. But let's do a couple more changes before I finish. I hit edit, and I would like to change this component type, and I'm going to do that by selecting that little pencil. And I'm going to change this to a stacked bar chart right here. So, or was it already a stacked bar? Let's go ahead and make it not a stacked bar. Update it accordingly. There we go. That looks a little bit better. And I'm going to save and done. Great. So that my dashboard change was saved. So now when we're working with these dashboards, it's really easy to understand what we're seeing here because of this hover capability. If you're used to Salesforce Classic, you know that there is a similar functionality, but you do have to configure that in order for it to work. It's very easy to drill down and view the reports. Each dashboard component is driven from the data of an underlying report. Now, if you want to change the information that you're seeing, here you can quickly change the parameters as far as your filters, your close date, your range. That's current and previous 2 fiscal years. Maybe I just want to see 1 year and apply it, and you're going to see those changes happen right away as you're working with it. And we also have some other options here. I can toggle over and just look at the report itself. I just removed the report chart from my view. I'm just going to get rid of my filters there.
And Rachel, have we seen the reports or the dashboards here? Have we seen those evolve at all since Lightning originally came out?
Well, yeah, there have been, like I said, there have been a variety of changes. You know, the previous slide we talked about there are new components available to us. So the scatter and the funnel chart type, or excuse me, component type, those are new. Also, one thing that's a little bit different, and again, I mentioned this before, is the way that you can view these different components. So there's this new little icon here in the upper right-hand corner. If I hit that, you can see I actually just expanded the entire dashboard component and made it bigger. So now I can, look at it a little bit more closely. And if I'd like to, I can just go ahead and I can toggle in between, just across the different components. And again, the functionality that was there when we were looking at the dashboard from a global perspective, we can still just hover over these individual components as well as drill down to the source report. So I really, really like this feature here. Right. All right, let me toggle back over to my presentation. Great. There. Now we're going to go in and talk a little bit about user interface, so the customization around that, as well as a little bit about the new console apps, Lightning console apps I'd like to talk about. So the Lightning App Builder, this is kind of your new page layout editor, right? When I say kind of, there's a combination of things that need to happen in order to update your page layouts for your users. The detail page, meaning the fields that they see on the page, you're still going to make those changes on your standard page layout editor. But if you want to change the way different things, different components, the placement of those things, where they are on the page layout, then you're going to have to use Lightning App Builder. And, you know, this could be kind of a scary and ominous thing to use, but really once I got in there and started working with it a little bit, I found it to be quite simple. And I'll walk you through just a little bit of that in a moment. But Lightning App Builder, you can create both single page apps that drill down into standard pages, as well as dashboard style apps, such as apps to track top sales prospects or key leads for the quarter. You can create point apps to solve a particular task, such as an expense app for users to enter expenses and monitor expenses they've submitted. You can also create custom record pages for your objects tailored to the needs of your users, as well as custom home pages containing the components and features that your users use most. That's really neat because in the past, our home pages, the ability to customize those, were pretty limited with respect to the classic experience. Okay. So the Salesforce console, Lightning console app, available to us both from a service or a sales perspective. You know, at the core of its feature set, similar to what's available to us within the classic console app, you select objects from the navigation bar, meaning you can work with several, you're going to select your object along the left-hand side, so you're going to pick either case as a, for instance, or lead. You're not going to see those tabs along the top. You're going to be working with your list view wherever you place it. If it's pinned on the side, it would be along the left-hand side. Selected records open as workspace tabs. Again, this is the big difference between a console app and either a standard classic app or a Lightning app, is the ability to open multiple records along the top and not lose the work that you've been doing. So if you move from one tab to another and you didn't save it, not losing that work, that's really key. And then also the ability to kind of tailor the way components display to you along the side. That is also a big deal. But what I really want to kind of hone in on here are some of the Lightning Experience console limitations. And you know, after going through, you know, preparing for this demonstration and becoming more familiar with the console limitations, you know, I will say that I don't think that this has quite made its way yet to where I would recommend my clients migrating over to the console in Lightning. And to be specific, what I mean here is that if you are a Salesforce Classic console user, especially a Service Console user that leverages things like macros, and then also the multi-monitor support, which is huge. The Lightning Experience console does not allow you to do some of those basic things that I consider to provide the most value when you work within a console. Keyboard shortcuts, not available to you. Multi-monitor, not available to you. The pinned list that I like to work with along the left-hand side, not available to you. And macros, right? I think macros have just been one of the greatest features to come out from Salesforce within the last couple of years. That macro component that you can add to your consoles is not going to be available to you. And again, the macro component, if you're not familiar with it, it allows your users to pre-configure basically the clicks or steps that they would take in Salesforce to act on a record or even multiple records from a list view, saving them a lot of time. Again, not available to us here in the Lightning experience. Visualforce is available in Lightning Console apps. It's currently in beta. And then person accounts also aren't supported in Lightning Console apps. And so, we have to be very clear about this. We've talked already today that person accounts have come a really long way as far as being supported in Lightning, but we have to be specific. Lightning Experience Console, the person account behavior is going to be lackluster. You're going to see potentially some conflicts with window opening behavior. You could see the person account record open as both an account and a contact, which we certainly don't want to happen. In that situation, the best thing you can do is just close out the contact tab and stay on the person account tab. But again, as far as for your users and adoption, not a great thing to happen. So if you rely on person accounts and all those other cool features at the top of the slide, why don't you wait a little bit before you decide to switch over to this Lightning Console experience. A couple other little things. Also, forecasting isn't supported, right? So for those sales users in the Sales Console, you're not going to have that forecasting option. And some knowledge sidebar actions don't work in Lightning Console apps. Again, another reason to stay away for now. Any questions there, Doug?
Nope. I think we're going to move along, and we're going to get to our question and answer session here shortly. So thank you, Rachel, for going over the highlights of Salesforce Lightning and the experience. We wanted to touch on...
Oh, actually, I think I'm missing a slide here. So there's one other thing I wanted to show, Doug. So whether I have the slide up in the presentation or not, I just want to make sure that you guys can get a feel for what it is actually like to customize page layouts. So just a real quick view of that Lightning App Builder and how you would have to go about making changes to your pages. So the best thing that I would like to do, I think it'll be the easiest, let's take a look at an account page layout. What you're seeing here is the Lightning Experience layout. It opened and defaulted to my related list tab, not my details. That is something from a user experience we may be able to improve there. I'm going to toggle over to my details. But what you're seeing over here to the side are different components that we can move around. So our activity and chatter feed, those can be relocated. And there are also some new components that have been made available to us that are not pulled on this page. So how would I go about easily making changes? You're going to look for edits. You're not going to look for edit of the record, but you're going to look for edit page. So if you have this, the ability to do this as a system administrator or a power user, I'm going to go ahead and hit my edit page, and you're going to see my Lightning App Builder account record page pull up. And along the left-hand side, you can see these are all the standard components that are available to me, again, from a drag and drop perspective, just to pull over onto my page. And as I hover or move my mouse over, you can see that these different components get this blue border around it. So that helps you understand what, which of these things I'm seeing are part of one component, and what do I have the ability to work with and move. I'm going to go ahead and remove my Twitter component. We don't have social set up for our org, so I'm going to remove that. But what I do see that I'm missing here is my account hierarchy, right? So we talked about the company hierarchy feature being available to us recently. I'm going to add that up to my page layout and replace that Twitter component. And then also potential duplicates. This is really great, right? This is just something totally new, a new concept to us here within Salesforce, is having a component that is going to show us potential duplicates. So if you've got some data issues within your organization, This is one of those things that you're going to want to pull onto your page. And so I just pulled and I located it right here along the top. Now, on the right-hand side, based on the component that you're working with, you're going to see if you have some other options, right? Do you want to show toast? Do you want to show card? Do you want to see both? I can save that. I'm just going to save my change before I move on and make any additional changes. Now, one thing that I really like to work with is this tabbed experience, because if you take a step back to when I was system administrator for my own org in Classic, one thing that I had done in the past was replace my standard page layouts with Visualforce pages. And I actually replaced them with Visualforce tabbed pages so that I could get all of that information, more easily available to my users with the tabs along the top instead of the related list views. And so this feature is similar in that I can add new tabs, and then I can place these components that are available to us on the left-hand side within those tabs. And so you can see right here, this is terrible. I don't think that the related information should be my primary tab. So I'm going to change this so that my details tab is the first thing that displays to my users when they open up their account page layout. And then I'm going to add another tab, and I'm going to change that. I don't want to see my details. Instead, I'd like to see my chatter. Okay, so I'm going to hit done. And now I've got my related, my details, and my chatter. And what that means here is that I can certainly take this chatter component right out of the sidebar, right? So it's really that easy to move things around in the Lightning App Builder. Again, and this is just a quick flavor. There are so many other things you can do here, but I hope that's enough to give you a quick little taste. So I'll go ahead and save that, and I'm going to go ahead and hit back. Oh, one thing that I think is good to know is that you have some additional controls here as far as how you view it. That probably would have been easier if I had done that for you previously, but you can zoom in and out, and then you can also refresh your view here. Great. Thanks, Doug, for letting me step in and take the time to do that on the fly. And let's go ahead and go back here.
Okay, so we're just going to wrap up now and touch on a couple things, and then we're going to get into our question and answer session here shortly. And we've already seen a couple questions come through. So once again, thank you, Rachel, for the highlights, going over the highlights of Salesforce Lightning. And we just covered plenty of material and kind of touched on the upper half of the iceberg, if you will. So we're including just kind of a brief recap reminder here. We touched on some of the key features in the evolution of the Lightning experience. So there's been significant changes since it's come out. We also went over the Spring 17 release feature enhancement highlights, what we consider to be the highlights and noteworthy. We also touched on the experience, the Lightning experience for sales, as well as the reports and dashboards that go with that. Rachel took us through a demonstration, and we went through the customizations as well as the console applications, and we got to see how the builder works. So, and finally, Rachel was able to touch on the limitations, which is a very important component when considering if this is the right fit for your organization. So we want to leave you with some resources and ideas and places you can go. So if you're interested in what you saw today, go here, learn more. And we highly recommend going to Salesforce's Trailhead to learn a lot more about Lightning. And it's kind of a self-guided tour that you can take and expand your knowledge base. And it's free or at no cost to the end user. So it's a great resource. You can also go to Salesforce's help and training section, which includes the success community, the readiness group, and release notes, all very important areas to read up on. And we also highly recommend joining a local user group. There's nearly a local user group for every city. If not, it's typically within driving distance.
And just to add on that, depending on your role, there are user groups anywhere from just a basic local user group to a developer user group. And then also one thing that's new, there is actually located here in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Bellevue area, there is a user group specifically that pursues trailhead badges, so that's kind of neat. So if that's something that's up your alley, look and see if there's something like that available to you locally.
Okay, so if you have any interest in upgrading to Lightning, feel free to give us a call or send us an email at sales@OSI.US or info@OSIUS.com. You can also reach us on our Contact Us page. We do monitor and answer the questions that come through there. Or feel free to send us a message on WebEx. We'd be happy to follow up with you. And we'd be happy to help you, take you through the process of evaluating your position and building any internal approval that's needed to switch to Lightning experience. Now, why would you want to work with a company like OSI? OSI is a global professional services firm founded back in 1993. We're a certified Salesforce Silver consulting partner and have completed over 60 Salesforce implementations, along with numerous formal certifications with Salesforce. We've been doing great work for the past 23 years and have over 1,300 professionals globally. We have a number of service groups outside of our Salesforce group that includes package application implementations for Oracle, PeopleSoft, Hyperion, and others. We also provide infrastructure, cloud services, systems integration, business intelligence, and data analytics services. We have a large pool of experience that we're able to pull on, and we put that to good use. Okay, so let's get into our question and answer session here. Now, Rachel, I believe we got a question from one of our users fairly early on, Rebecca, and she was curious if Salesforce has plans to allow Visualforce to be used within the Lightning experience. Now, would you be able to speak to that today?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Salesforce has already made a lot of progress in supporting Visualforce within the Lightning experience. What you're going to want to do is work with a partner or your developer should, have some direction on this already. There's some work to do with respect to current Visualforce pages. You want to take the time to make sure that they are components, really. So you can take that existing Visualforce page and make some changes so that it's a supported component within the Lightning experience. And then also I mentioned earlier that Visualforce is even now available in Lightning Console apps as beta. So, one step further is that they're even available within the console experience.
Okay, great. Now, it looks like we had another question come in here from Tracy. Is there cost involved between Salesforce Classic and Lightning?
No, absolutely not. What Salesforce has done over the last year is they've kind of renamed their editions and pricing, and they all contain the word Lightning. And so what that means to you is that you can use the Classic or Lightning experience. It's really up to you. But they have, kind of enhanced the functionality and the feature set available with those new pricing and additions, and they have bumped up the price. So whether you wanted to pay for the, whether or not we're paying for Lightning itself, we are paying kind of a higher, pricing now, but it's regardless of whether or not you're using Lightning or Classic.
Okay, let's take a look here. Let's see the next question coming through. Okay, so looks like another question came through from Aditri. Is the integration work and cost more extensive than it would be for Classic? And there's a two-part to this, moving from a highly customized version of Classic versus a brand new implementation.
Okay, so there's, like you said, a couple of pieces here. A new implementation of Salesforce, when we're talking about integration, I'm going to say one, it slightly depends, but integration is on the back end, right? So if you're setting up something to connect your other systems with Salesforce, that integration would work as expected. The one thing that I would say we need to take into consideration is if you do leverage something like Salesforce Connect. Salesforce Connect is a method of integrating with external systems without actually pulling in the data from external objects. It just displays it for you on the page layouts, and so there may be some customization required in order to get something from like a Salesforce Connect integration to display for you correctly. But overall, I would say it's not an enormous concern when it comes to integration.
Okay, great. So we're going to go through a few more here. So we see there's another question coming through here from John. Is training considered part of the implementation work, and how does that work? What does that look like?
Sure. So if you're a new organization implementing Salesforce, then training, I would say, is not going to be any more of a concern than it would be had you been working with Salesforce Classic. As we talked about earlier, Trailhead is available from Salesforce, and they provide a variety of modules and trails that do focus specifically on Lightning experience, not only just the Lightning experience and their features, but they also approach it from a role perspective. So you'll see a variety of modules that are reports and dashboards for sales users, as a for instance. But then let's talk about more of a complex situation. You're an existing Salesforce organization and you're considering moving over to the Lightning experience, but if you have put in a lot of internal effort in your training documentation, your processes, and your procedures, you've got a lot of screenshots and things like that within your training documentation, that's really going to take a little bit of rework from your perspective to make sure that all of that information is updated to represent, the current look and feel. And so, again, if you're an existing org and you do rely heavily on, different training artifacts, that's going to take you a little bit longer to get ready to move over. I hope that answered the question.
Okay, great. And we have another one coming in from Venkati. Have any of the changes in Lightning impacted the mobile experience? Has there been any changes there?
So that's a great question, actually. In the first webinar we discussed the fact that Salesforce Lightning really was kind of born out of Salesforce Mobile, meaning they were looking to add more of a streamlined interface and experience across the different platforms that you can access Salesforce. And so I would say it certainly has not had any negative impact on Salesforce One. If anything, you'll see that as they add new features to Salesforce Lightning, they're actually finding that those enhancements are also relevant for the mobile experience. And so if anything, it's just supported the ongoing, evolution of the Salesforce One mobile app.
Great, thanks. Okay, so it looks like that's all the time we have for questions. If you have a question that went unanswered, we will be following up with you and providing you a response. And we apologize for that, but we want to be succinct with time here today. So once again, if you have any interest in evaluating what your organization's position is and how it could fit with Lightning, we'd be happy to do that, and feel free to reach out to us at the information listed here. All right, everyone, take care and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.